All right, let's get started. So I rescheduled this meeting because Monday was a holiday in the US. And so I figured there would be a bunch of people that wouldn't show up that I really wanted to show up. So I took the risk of just rescheduling. So BFS for Pages NFS is on its way to production. This was a thin layer that Jacob did a POC for, which allows us to essentially hide what's behind the disk access layer, which is great because it should enable us to do the variety of things that we need to do. And originally when we talked about it, I thought that was the best thing to be able to handle migrations very gracefully. So I'm happy to see that hit in production at some point soon. And then Gregor's finished the two blueprints for the GitLab Pages architecture and then the build logs. What's happening next is there is work to decouple Puma from Pages NFS. And then I know there is work happening to improve observability for the build logs. So we're making progress there. And then Marion just let me know that there is something else that apparently uses NFS, which is the mailer queue, which Rachel is going to be chasing for us. So we'll have more information come next week to understand what the work is involved in and removing that. All right, so the one item that I had for discussion was that in looking at the epics and the work that is plotted or that is planned from here to mid-October, it sounds to me like NFS should be gone, not from GitLab.com, but as a requirement for the product to operate under Kubernetes. And if that's the case, then I wanted to sort of take a pulse here. If everybody understood this the way I do, then that means we would be unblocked to continue working on Helm charts and operator and everything else. So mid-October sounds like the date at which all the work that's taking place to remove NFS would be completed. And so June, you had a comment about that I haven't read.
Yeah, I just added Epic distribution team actually consolidated a list of the blockers for deploying pages on Kubernetes. But in addition to those two issues on Epics, you code out.
Okay. This one also has a due date, which is inherited for October 17th of next month. Do we know if that date is accurate?
I'll defer to Stephen.
I would say it's iffy at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, the working group will continue to meet. So I will track those three items. And then I would imagine that probably in the first week of October is when we'll start gearing it up. You know, we'll have a better idea of when these items are completed. And the way I'm thinking about this is when we put together the working group, GitLab.com is kind of part of this equation, but not a blocker. And what we mean by that is that we know GitLab.com is this very complex instance that has a lot of history. So our intention here is to figure out, you know, the work that we're doing really is geared towards standing up the EMEA and China instances. So once NFS is out, if we can continue to make progress on whatever else we need to do with Helm and the operator to stand up those instances, then we should continue to do that in parallel with whatever other work and migration work we need to do in GitLab.com. Meaning we shouldn't wait until May of next year to do the work on EMEA and China. So we'll refine the dates, and I will continue tracking these and sort of raising this question as we approach the date to see if our confidence levels are higher. And then we'll start working on the follow-up items.
Sounds good. We've only scheduled one of those items in that epic that I noticed that not all of the issues are in the distribution team. They're kind of spread out across a few different teams.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'll chase all of that. But as a general idea, it looks like mid-October is when we all think we would be done with a bunch of these things. Probably November is a better estimate if we add a couple of weeks of buffer, but I think we can refine as the working group meets and we can give better estimates.
Jerry can increase the visibility to the PM code out. That would be great. I mean, look at the history of that epic. There is some chatting there to schedule or prioritize those items for the page. So those are the things when they're done, the help chart will be unblocked earlier. So we don't have to wait until mid next year.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, and Christopher and I talked about this earlier today, is I don't have any strict dates from when we need to deliver this thing. I will talk to Eric about it, and I'm assuming Eric will talk to Sid and Scott, and then if they want to place some dates that deviate a lot from our current estimates based on the progress that we're making, then I'll bring those back to the group. But I haven't been given any specific target date to say, oh, by January 1st, you must, be able to do this. Right now, there is no specified date, but I will mention it to Eric, like, based on the progress that we're making and the work that is happening, these look like kind of the dates where we might be able to start doing, the next few large milestones, and then see what the feedback on that is. So
yeah, and the other way I approach it, the way at least I'm approaching it from our side is our dates are aggressive, and if we're off by a month, then that's acceptable from that perspective, as opposed to hard dates where we really need to hit it on the mark. So if you're getting visibility to January, that's one discussion. Like if we hit, we hit October and then we actually end up in November, to me, that's just normal, unknowns that kind of come up. But if like we need to be ready by November 1st and there's money riding on it, then that level of expectation definitely needs to be pushed with product, so they understand it.
Okay. Yeah, insofar as I know, there is a fair amount of flexibility because these would be new instances, and I don't know of anything that would trigger or become a forcing function for us to say we must have EMEA and we must have China.
We never know until it becomes a reality, right?
Right. I was going to say those conversations happen way above my pay grade.
That's good. It's good that we're prepared for when it does. So that's ultimately
right. And I think we're setting expectations based on how we see things progressing. So if the dates that we're offering to Eric and Sid and Scott make sense, then I think everybody's comfortable. I will keep also following up on that from time to time with Eric, just to make sure that there are no, oh my God, no, we expected this like 3 weeks ago. So anyway, not that that's ever happened. All right. So the only other follow-up item that I had was that Gregor's mentioned that we don't have a specific DRI for the Pages NFS work. There are at least 3 people that I know have been working on various aspects of this. We had a conversation in the architecture kickoff group as to what exactly that meant. And there was a little bit of confusion in interpreting the whole relationship between OKRs and blueprints and whether it would be senior folks that would be owning these things. I'll clarify those with Eric, but I just wanted to make sure the group is comfortable with, this work is fairly complex. So to have a single DRI, I don't know if it makes sense or not. If nothing else, I am apparently the one DRI for this entire working group. So I can continue to chase these things and just sort of keep tabs on, like, I'm comfortable with several people working on these several aspects without having to have a single IC that owns the entire Pages and NFS. So, but Christopher, I'll follow up with Nicole, and if we do decide to put somebody's name, then we'll do it. If not, we'll just continue as we are today.
Yeah, and this is I want to make a distinction between technical decisions and like execution. Obviously, they're married to a certain extent. But Nicole should have a pretty good grasp, and like on the not 4283, but on the Pages side, on her side, she has a pretty recent update on status actually of I think as of today, kind of what's being worked on versus not worked on. So I feel like we've got good status for that piece of it in place. Distribution team obviously has some additional work, it sounds like, that we've got to make sure kind of lines up from that perspective. And, we have some variants obviously with unknowns from that perspective, but talk to Nicole and let me know what your thoughts are And if we need
All
to
right.
stick with the technical DRI, we can do that as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably the execution DRI. I mean, this all came from Gregor's and some of the comments he made to me about, these various people are working on this. I think from a technical standpoint, that's going to be really hard, right? Because, I mean, we've had some really smart people working on this problem, and, they've done POCs and all that. And finally, they've reached a decision of, it's been I wouldn't say that it's been consensus driven. It's been very data driven. And it was really good to see Camille and Jacob just sort of propose these two things, and they looked at the data and they said, this is the way we're going to go. So I think it's the execution DRI. But if that defaults to me because it bubbles up, then I'm comfortable with that. So
okay, talk with Nicole.
I will talk to Nicole. Yes. Cool. Thank you. I don't see any other items. So unless anybody has any last minute things, we are done for today. Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Later.